Live from South Miami, it's the drug-free, alcohol-soaked WFUN reunion. Hosted by Russ, Oasis, and Tom Kennington. With the stars of WFUN from the 60s and 70s. Probably some hot babes. Recreating his wonderful appearances on the Channel 2 auction, photographer Pat Appleson. And special guest star of South Florida radio fame, Johnny Dark.
WNBC.
Yes, that Johnny Dark. Bitching about what happened to Ines. An interview with our bartenders. And Kitty Carlisle.
It's very sad.
David Citron of the South Florida radio pages. And women who married disc jockeys.
This is the station of the stars, WFUN, the fun spot.
Ooh. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, are those hors d'oeuvres free? Russ, Oasis?
Jim Kelly, come on in. Good to see you, man. You look great. How you doing?
How are you? Oh, my God. Hey, how are you? Hi, Pat. Oh, man. Pat Appleson.
Hi there. A lone white gunman made a rare late-night appearance at a near Southside convenience store. Brandishing a small-caliber .38 revolver, he fled down South Dixie Highway near Tom Kennington's house. Tom is there on site now. Tom, take it away.
Tom Kennington of WFUN. Say hello.
Hello, and years ago, in a galaxy long ago and far, far away, we had a lot of fun.
I passed by FUN today, Russ, and it's available, and it can be a parking garage or retail space. What do you want?
You're talking into the mic wrong, Jim. Look, this is the way it goes. You know, you need to speak across it, Jim. Don't speak it. You're going to pop your P's. You're going to pop your P's. If you talk directly, you got to talk across it. That building, 6101 Sunset, used to be the AAA building, and I had to go in for maps to go across the country. As I'm in there, I'm looking around, and I said to the lady, you know, I used to spend a lot of time in this building. And she looked at me and she said, oh, really? I said, that's right. In fact, right back there, I used to sit right back there. And at that point, she started backing away from me. It was an eerie feeling. Across the mic, Jim.
In post-production, I'll fix all the popping. Oh, my gosh. Bob Gordon, Jim Kelly. It's Bob Gordon, star of motion pictures.
Stage, screen, radio, in the street.
How are you? You look fantastic. Bob Gordon looks fantastic.
I feel great.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Aged a little bit. You remember me when I was 6'4", 225, long hair, blue eyes, remember? This is what happened.
No, you're talking about Chris Edwards.
Jim, this is my wife, Jenny.
Pleasure to meet you.
How are you?
I'm doing well. We did a mini reunion in November. Berlin, Mayor, Gordon, and me, and at Fox's, and we had prime rib like we used to eat, and we had Southern Comfort Old Fashions like we used to drink 40 years ago.
We can go to Fox's later and drink some more if you'd like.
I can't believe it was 40 years.
Have they are we still banned from that place?
I think we always were.
The place was still as funky as it was then.
If we go there now, we'll find Mike Harvey under one of the tables.
Oh, my.
Jim, when were you at FUN?
74, 75, to the very end. Yes.
I came down in January of '67, and Dick took me to San Francisco February of '68.
Chris, let me ask you something. When you got to San Francisco with Dick Starr and Dutch Holland, what was that like for you? I mean, there we are in the middle of the psychedelic era, probably the best gig in the United States.
The funniest bit was when he flew me out there the weekend of February 3rd of '68, about 2 weeks before I went out. The general manager, Howard Kester, who's no longer with us, Dick took me around, go to Haight-Ashbury, and there's this topless woman on the corner of Haight-Ashbury passing out flowers. I said, I'm coming to work here.
You could hear Scott McKenzie singing, right?
Right in the back. That was one of the last songs I played on the air here, and one of the first ones I played there.
Was it the studios on Broadway back then?
No, the studios were in the bottom of the Mark Hawkins with the greatest radio address ever, 1 Nob Hill Circle.
Can't beat that, because I've been to the top of the Mark for cocktails. I'm sure you have a few times.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. When we used to get off work, we used to go up there. But 1 Nob Hill Circle is the plaque is still there, and there's a couple of attorneys in there now.
Oh, my
it's G. Michael McKay. Oh, hi. Hello there. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. That's been 6 years since I've seen you.
Has it really?
How are you doing? You look great.
I'm feeling fine.
This is for the internet site. Have you looked at the FUN tribute site?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? Well,
I'm not allowed on the internet, you know.
well, we'll talk about that later after a couple of cocktails, all right?
After a couple of cocktails, I'm allowed on.
Oh, my gosh.
We're not going to talk to anybody. A hug, Jim.
Alan Polasky.
You were always my favorite DJ.
He was Alan Polasky.
Who else is here? Bob Gordon. Oh, hi, Bob Gordon. You were always my favorite DJ.
Said he was.
Oh, gee, Michael. Wait, but you were always my favorite DJ.
Wait a minute.
Alan Polasky.
But anyway, they let me out of the home, and I'm here, and I just want to say hello. And
yes, but we're sending you back right after the party.
It is.
Enjoy yourself.
But I enjoyed seeing Sunset Drive again, and thanks for letting me out tonight.
And when we get you a little gassed, we're going to come back and ask for some real stories from you.
Oh, geez. Okay. I'd be willing to do that.
I have a couple of Russ Oasis stories.
Oh, no. Don't tell them.
Well, I do think the plastic surgery story that you gave on the website alone is enough to last a couple years. But
they're good ones. They're great stories. I got one Russ Oasis story.
This is Jim Kelly.
Thank you very much. David Citron from the Florida radio pages. Welcome to the party.
Hi, Jim. Thank you.
What do you know?
Not a thing.
Fundamental news from WFUN.
Oh my gosh, it's Jim Edwards, WFUN Fundamental News.
How are you, buddy?
Kelly.
I know, it's great to see you, man. How you doing?
Good to see you. How are you doing?
Life is good. Life is good.
We both live in sunny Florida, and we're both on the air.
Oh, I can't beat that. How bad can that be?
Jim Edwards is on the air in West Palm Beach for how many years now?
I have been on the air in West Palm Beach since 1984, and don't ask me to add that up because I've got a glass of wine in my hand.
Okay, and so you're doing mornings on WRLX, right?
Yeah, Classy 92.1.
That's right, yes, and you're doing very well, like stations number 2 or something like that?
Yeah, we were number 1 in the summer.
Did you bring any Perry Como records with you?
No, I had to leave those back at the station along with Muskrat Love.
Johnny Dark.
Jim Kelly.
Here he is, guest here at the Fun Reunion. Heard you on the air today.
WFUN 790.
Did you run into Bob Gordon yet?
No, I haven't. I met his wife, though. Why are you recording this?
Pete Berlin.
Making a webcast.
Jim! Oh, my God! Oh, my God, Jim! Give me a baby!
Pete Berlin.
I've been always wondering about you.
Hired
so many
me
years.
and employed me for 11 years at Love 94.
I've really wondered where you've been.
Pete Berlin, WFUN, what years?
I started in like 67, and then I went off to Vietnam for a couple of years, and then I came back and worked for Harvey for a couple of years till, I guess, about 72.
Have you heard the air checks on the WFUN tribute website?
Yeah, I've listened to a couple of them.
You're mentioned on there, but we got to get an air check of
I'll
you.
get an air check. I've got some around.
We got some nice pictures of Pete Berlin, but we don't have any air
pictures.
checks, so we got to get an air check of you.
Well, we'll get some.
Where'd you get that nice WFUN T-shirt?
I bought it on the web.
See how famous the station is?
I bought a QAM one also.
Oh, yeah. Very sharp. I like that. The Jester is on the T-shirt.
Yes.
Well, later, when everybody gets a little bit looser, we're going to tell some WFUN stories.
All right. All right.
So our bartender grew up in Miami, right? And what station was your favorite?
WFUN.
Not QAM.
No, I was never a fan of Tiger Radio. I promise I wasn't.
There you go. See, here it is. It's the truth.
High school, 1965.
From what high school? Ransom.
Ransom, which was not Ransom Everglades. It was just called Ransom.
Do you remember some of these guys here at the party from the radio?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, I do, indeed.
Well, you make a kick-ass vodka and cranberry. Thanks for being here. We love alcohol to this very day. Our bartenders, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Mayer.
Bobby! All right. How are you? Come here.
Bob Mayer, how are you?
Good. Great. I don't know what to say except I've been so excited waiting for this night. FUN was a magic time, obviously, for all of us.
Absolutely.
Back over a career, and all of us there were these special years. I've been in television for 38 years. Great times, wonderful times, but the magic years were FUN.
Not too hard.
What years were you at WFUN?
63 to 68.
Those are nice years to be there, too.
This is the best. Absolutely the best.
Brought along, you are the traffic reporter. And you go,
It's very tasty. It's good.
We had this bit. You know, he'd tell the joke, and then I'd go, yeah, just like you do it better than I do.
it was great.
The eye in the sky. Because you said, here we go, we're going to Bob Mayer, the eye in the sky.
The day I shot him out of the air, Arnold Kaufman calls us, you shouldn't do that.
That's exactly what's on the air.
We'll get very upset.
This is Bob Mayer, and he has some old WFUN memos, and this is a memo about an incident that happened on WFUN in 1966. Memos from Mr. Arnold Kaufman, the general manager of WFUN at the time. Bob Mayer.
All right, the first memo is to Robert Roundsville from Arnold C. Kaufman regarding vulgarity on the air, May 28, 68.
1968, Robert W. Roundsville, the owner of WFUN.
Okay.
Here we go.
From Robert Roundsville to Arnold Kaufman, this is July 7, 1966. Per my conversation with Ralph Johnson, the enclosed is a statement signed by Dutch Holland describing the incident that led to the obscene remarks he made over our facility. In view of the fact that we've received resignations from Davy O'Donnell and that we are in the midst of vacation schedules, we are shorthanded. I have, for the moment, decided against letting Dutch Holland go. This, of course, is subject to your final decision. Now.
Okay. And the follow-up memo.
This is the affidavit from Dutch Holland, signed July 7, 1966, to Arnold Kaufman. On the night of July 5, 1966, I was assigned a taping production schedule. One of the pre-produced spots was for Pilgrim's Clothing. In recording one of 3 commercials for the aforementioned account, I fluffed a portion of the spot and in disgust uttered the words, "Oh shit." It was my intention to cartridge for air use only the 2 acceptable versions of the commercial. Inadvertently, the 3rd spot was also included on cart. The version containing the objectionable utterance was broadcast the night of July 6, 1966, on the Mikey Harvey Show at approximately 9:15. I sincerely apologize to radio station WFUN for any embarrassment that my negligence may have caused. I understand the seriousness of my mistake. Pending the outcome of an investigation, I further realize that I may be eligible for dismissal.
Nation's finest Miami Dragway, just 9 miles west of the Turnpike on Hollywood Boulevard. That's exit 2, Saturday night. Yes, it's Boss Radio, where Big Bob Mayer spots traffic troubles every morning and afternoon from the eye in the sky, if you can see that far.
We return you now to our regularly scheduled program.
Thank you, Pat Appleson. We'll
WFUN, the fun spot. Would like to ask you, do you remember? Do you remember?
Bud Cannell.
You got it.
The first program director of WFUN.
Well, actually, the first station manager, and we did program it at the same time.
And where was the location of FUN?
It was on MacArthur Causeway.
That's
on
right. I've heard
Terminal
stories.
Island.
That's right. And what year was that when you came to work for WFUN?
1961.
How many years did you stay there?
I was just there about 7 months. Actually, I came in October or November of 1960 to prepare the station.
But you turned it into a top 40 station.
Yeah, well, actually, it didn't exist.
What was the lineup of DJs when FUN
Well, we
started?
signed on with Danny Dark. We signed on about 6 o'clock one morning. I think it was January the 27th, 1961. Danny Dark, who became the voice of NBC for 25 years, was our morning man. Our 9 to noon man was a fellow by the name of Pete Connors. And then noon to 3, we had Frank Ward.
I remember that name,
who
yes.
eventually became the program director of
He ended up on
WFUN.
QAM at one time.
We return you now to our regularly scheduled program.
Thank you, Pat Appleson. We'll send you that talent check. Yes. Jerry Norman was the last general manager of WFUN.
Wow. I'm the guy who shut it down. What a guy. What a noteworthy thing to say, right?
Yes, but you followed in the footsteps of Arnold Kaufman. Well, Arnold Kaufman was a happy-go-lucky guy, wasn't he?
Very, very happy-go-lucky.
John Tony, were you at NBC through the WNBC?
Of course, yeah.
Will you say that for
and
us?
after? What?
Will you say that for us?
WNBC.
And you followed Imus.
Alan Beebe is the guy who came up with that. We were sitting around with Bob Pittman in a staff meeting one day, and there was so much confusion because there was only one letter that separated, ABC from NBC. And Alan Beebe, as a joke, in the staff meeting said, "We ought to go WNBC." And Pittman just got real quiet and said, "Yeah, we're going to do that."
That's a great idea. And I remember Imus at WNBC.
Yeah. WNBC. Exactly.
I think he got the shaft, frankly. He
did get the shaft.
Yeah, he did.
No, we're not going to talk about it.
Why not? No, come on. No, I mean, actually, I don't know anybody in the room here who wouldn't support him. I don't know.
It's not even a double
For them to go
standard.
after Imus, he would still have his job if it hadn't been a slow news day, because they had no other story to run with.
Yeah.
If there was some huge bomb that went off in Iraq or whatever, then it would have been forgotten.
Yeah.
What a mess. I'll tell you what. I work with both Stern and Imus, and Imus has got a heart of gold. He's really deep down inside a nice guy. If you look at the rants that he has in Colorado for the cancer kids,
Sure.
what has Stern done?
Yeah, it's an equal opportunity camp for kids.
What has Stern done?
Yeah, right.
Show me
exactly.
one example of his humanitarian acts.
Married a beautiful woman.
Yeah. Imus is really a nice guy.
WFUN, the Fun Spot, would like to ask you, do you remember? Do you remember?
The good news be yours.
Happy trails to you.
Oh, shit.
Keep smiling until then.
WNBC.